The cargo ship hummed quietly as Jae-hyun leaned back in his pilot's chair, fingers drumming against the worn control panel. Another routine trade run through the outer reaches of the Crimson Quadrant, or so he thought. Space had a way of surprising even the most experienced traders. A massive alien vessel materialized on his scanner, its design unlike anything he'd seen before. Smooth metallic curves that seemed to shimmer and shift, like liquid metal frozen in an instant. Jae-hyun's hand instinctively moved to the communication panel, his heart racing with a mixture of excitement and caution. "Incoming transmission," the ship's computer announced in its monotone voice. The holographic screen flickered to life, revealing a massive reptilian creature. Patriarch Kroll, that's what the translation software labeled him, looked imposing. Scales the color of burnished copper, eyes that seemed to hold centuries of wisdom and calculation. "Human trader," the alien's voice rumbled. "We have a proposition." Jae-hyun had heard those words before, and they rarely ended well. Trade negotiations with alien species were complicated, often feeling like a chess match where he didn't know all the rules. The patriarch continued, "My daughter needs a mate. You will be that mate." Just like that. No courtship, no romantic build-up, just a direct statement that made Jae-hyun blink in confusion. Most human traders would have laughed or immediately refused, but Jae-hyun had survived in deep space by being different, by seeing opportunities where others saw obstacles. "Tell me more," he replied, keeping his voice neutral. The hologram shifted, revealing a female alien who looked different. Not beautiful by human or alien standards. Her skin had an unusual mottled pattern, her movements slightly awkward. But something in her eyes caught Jae-hyun's attention. Intelligence, sharp and bright. "This is Yuna," the patriarch stated. "She is a scientist, rejected by our society, considered unsuitable." Jae-hyun understood rejection. He'd been that kid back on Earth, smart but never quite fitting in, always looking beyond the immediate horizon. Something about Yuna's situation resonated with him. The alien continued explaining the terms: a marriage of convenience, political alliance, scientific exchange. But Jae-hyun heard something more, an opportunity to break through barriers, to challenge existing systems. Most would see a bizarre arranged marriage. Jae-hyun saw a doorway to something extraordinary. "I accept," he said, surprising even himself. The patriarch's expression didn't change, but something like respect flickered in those ancient eyes. One decision, one moment, and everything was about to change. Yuna looked directly into the communication screen. No shyness, no embarrassment, just pure, calculated intelligence studying her future husband. Jae-hyun smiled. This wasn't going to be a typical marriage. This was going to be an adventure. The wedding ceremony was nothing like traditional, human or alien customs. No white dress, no walking down the aisle, no romantic music. Instead, it felt more like a scientific conference meets a diplomatic meeting. Yuna arrived on Jae-hyun's cargo ship with a massive container of research documents, scientific equipment, and what looked like years of suppressed research. Her movements were precise, calculated, each step purposeful, each gesture speaking volumes about her intelligence. "I have 17 research projects that our society has rejected," she announced, not as a complaint, but as a matter of fact. "Would you be interested in reviewing them?" Most husbands might have been overwhelmed. Jae-hyun simply pulled up a chair and said, "Show me." The first project shocked him. A cellular regeneration technique that could potentially reverse aging in multiple biological systems. The Xyloxian research team had dismissed it as too radical, but Jae-hyun saw something different. He saw potential. Their first week together wasn't about romance. It was about discovery. Late nights reviewing complex scientific formulas, drinking terrible space coffee, arguing about molecular structures and theoretical possibilities. Yuna would explain a complex concept, and Jae-hyun would find a practical human application. "Your species thinks differently," Yuna observed one night. "You don't just see problems, you see solutions," Jae-hyun chuckled. We're basically professional problem solvers. Space is just one big puzzle waiting to be solved. Their marriage became an unexpected research partnership. Her suppressed scientific knowledge combined with his practical engineering background created something unique. Where alien bureaucracy saw limitations, they saw opportunities. Their first breakthrough came unexpectedly. A minor adjustment to Yuna's cellular regeneration theory, using a cooling technique Jae-hyun had learned from repairing spacecraft life support systems, suddenly made the impossible possible. Word spread quickly in scientific circles. Research. Institutions that had previously ignored Yuna's work now started sending communication requests. Investment offers began flooding their communication channels. But it wasn't just about money or recognition. They were genuinely changing how different species approached scientific collaboration. Jae-hyun brought human creativity, Yuna brought alien precision. Together, they were unstoppable. "We're going to make history," Jae-hyun would say, only half joking. Yuna would raise an eyebrow. "We're already making history." Their living quarters reflected their unique partnership. Half scientific laboratory, half living space. Star charts mixed with research documents. Technical equipment alongside personal photographs. A perfect representation of their unconventional relationship. The alien society that had once rejected, Yuna now watched in amazement. A human trader and an unsuitable alien scientist were rewriting the rules of scientific exploration. Jae-hyun realized something profound during those early months. True partnership wasn't about physical attraction or traditional expectations. It was about finding someone who challenged you, who saw the world differently, who made you better than you were alone. Their first major medical breakthrough came 8 months into their marriage, a treatment that could help species with complex genetic disorders. The scientific community was stunned. How could a human-alien team achieve what entire research institutions had failed to do? Simple. They didn't see barriers. They saw bridges. As investment offers and research grants began pouring in, Jae-hyun and Yuna remained focused. This wasn't about becoming wealthy. This was about pushing the boundaries of what was possible. "We're just getting started," Jae-hyun would tell Yuna, his eyes bright with excitement, and she would smile. A rare, genuine smile that transformed her entire appearance. Not beautiful by conventional standards, but brilliantly alive. Their unexpected alliance was changing the universe, one scientific breakthrough at a time. Key narrative elements. 2 years into their partnership, Jae-hyun and Yuna's research lab had become something of a legend in scientific circles. What started as a small research team on a converted cargo ship had transformed into a movement that was reshaping medical understanding across multiple star systems. Their breakthrough cellular regeneration technology wasn't just another scientific paper. It was a lifeline for species struggling with genetic diseases, aging complications, and complex medical challenges. Planets that had previously considered certain conditions hopeless now saw a glimmer of hope. "We're not just treating diseases," Jae-hyun would explain during their frequent conference presentations. "We're rewriting the rules of biological understanding." The first major test came from an unexpected source. A remote mining colony had been struggling with a genetic disorder that caused rapid cellular degradation. Entire generations were dying before reaching middle age. Traditional medical approaches had failed repeatedly. Yuna spent weeks analyzing their genetic structure, creating personalized treatment protocols. Jae-hyun used his engineering background to develop delivery mechanisms that could work in extreme environmental conditions. It was more than science. It was problem-solving at its most human level. When the first group of patients showed positive results, the scientific community was stunned. Not just a minor improvement, complete cellular restoration. Patients who were expected to die within months were now looking at decades of healthy life. Investment offers started flooding in. But Jae-hyun and Yuna were careful. They weren't interested in becoming wealthy. They wanted to make a difference. "Money is just a tool," Yuna would say. "Our real currency is knowledge." Their approach was uniquely human, taking complex scientific concepts and finding practical real-world applications. Where alien researchers would spend decades in theoretical research, Jae-hyun and Yuna focused on immediate, tangible solutions. Thadi, Medical Research Institute on Earth initially approached them with caution. A human alien research team was unprecedented, but as results began to speak for themselves, skepticism turned into excitement. Their lab became a melting pot of scientific talent. Researchers from different species, different backgrounds, all united by a single goal, pushing the boundaries of medical science. Jae-hyun loved the diversity, the constant exchange of ideas. Every person brings a different perspective, he would tell young researchers. The best solutions come from understanding, not just knowledge. The economic impact was massive. Their research wasn't just saving lives, it was creating entire new industries. Medical technology companies that had been stuck for decades suddenly found themselves with revolutionary new approaches. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Political tensions, bureaucratic challenges, and conservative scientific communities tried to slow them down. Each obstacle became another opportunity for innovation. Yuna's alien background gave them unique insights. Jae-hyun's human creativity provided the practical implementation. Together, they were unstoppable. Their most significant breakthrough came unexpectedly. A treatment that could potentially reverse genetic damage caused by long-term space radiation exposure. For spacefaring civilizations, this was more than a medical breakthrough. It was a game-changer. International, or rather interspecies medical conferences became a showcase of their work. Young researchers would crowd around, listening to their presentations, inspired by their unconventional approach. Science isn't about following rules, Jae-hyun would say. It's about asking why those rules exist in the first place. The personal cost was significant. Long hours, constant travel, endless research. But neither of them complained. This was more than a job. This was a mission. Their relationship had evolved beyond a marriage of convenience. They had become true partners united by a shared vision of what scientific collaboration could achieve. As their reputation grew, so did their impact. Medical institutions that once rejected Yuna's research now sought her guidance. Jae-hyun, once a simple cargo trader, was now considered a leading innovative researcher. "We're just getting started," he would tell Yuna, his eyes bright with the endless possibilities of scientific discovery. And she would smile, that rare, brilliant smile that spoke volumes about their extraordinary journey. The scientific revolution they had started was changing the universe, one breakthrough at a time. The ripples of Jae-hyun and Yuna's work spread far beyond medical science. They were unknowingly dismantling centuries-old social structures, challenging how different species viewed intelligence, partnership, and potential. In Yuna's home civilization, traditionally structured societies began to crack. Women, or their equivalent, who were previously marginalized, started demanding recognition. Scientific institutions that once rejected innovative thinkers now scrambled to create more inclusive research environments. "We didn't set out to create a revolution," Jae-hyun would later reflect. "We just wanted to solve problems." But revolutions often start with simple conversations. Their collaborative approach became a model for interspecies cooperation. Where diplomatic channels had failed, scientific partnerships succeeded. Trade routes opened up. Research exchanges became commonplace. Universities that once maintained strict segregation now created joint programs inspired by their work. Yuna, once considered an outcast, became a keynote speaker at major scientific conferences. The economic impact was profound. Their medical technologies created entire new industries. Struggling colonies found new hope. Species with limited medical capabilities suddenly had access to groundbreaking treatments. One particular moment captured the essence of their cultural impact. During a major intergalactic conference, a senior alien researcher challenged Yuna's credentials. Instead of getting defensive, she simply presented her research results. The data spoke louder than any argument. Jae-hyun watched with quiet pride. This wasn't just about scientific achievement. This was about challenging fundamental assumptions about intelligence, potential, and worth. Their personal story became inspirational. a human trader and an alien scientist who defied every social expectation. Young researchers from multiple species saw a different path forward. Limitations were no longer absolute. They were challenges waiting to be overcome. Political leaders started taking notice. Diplomatic missions began studying their approach. How could two individuals from completely different backgrounds create such significant change? The answer was surprisingly simple. They listened. They respected each other's perspectives. They saw potential where others saw differences. Their research centers became melting pots of innovation. Young scientists from different planets worked together, breaking down cultural barriers with every collaborative project. Language differences became opportunities for creative communication. Our differences are our strength, Jae-hyun would tell visiting researchers. Uniformity is the enemy of innovation. The social transformation wasn't just external. Within their own research team, hierarchical structures dissolved. Merit became the only true currency. A junior researcher's idea was valued as much as a senior scientist's established theory. Yuna's home civilization experienced the most dramatic changes. Traditional leadership structures began to crumble. Scientific merit started competing with historical lineage. Young researchers who were once silenced now demanded seats at decision-making tables. Their work challenged fundamental beliefs about intelligence, potential, and social mobility. What began as a personal partnership was reshaping entire civilizational approaches to knowledge and collaboration. Governments that once maintained strict control over scientific research now created open-access platforms. The flow of information became more democratic, more inclusive. We're not just changing science, Yuna would explain. We're changing how societies think about potential. Their personal relationship became a symbol of something larger, a partnership that transcended physical appearance, cultural differences, and traditional expectations. They weren't just life partners, they were change makers. Young couples across different species started looking at relationships differently. Partnership wasn't about physical attraction or social expectations. It was about mutual respect, shared vision, and the ability to grow together. The cargo ship where they first met now seemed like a distant memory. From a simple trading vessel to a symbol of interspecies collaboration, their journey represented human adaptability at its finest. We're just getting started, Jae-hyun would tell Yuna, his eyes reflecting endless possibilities. And she would smile, that remarkable smile that had become a beacon of hope for countless others. Their cultural disruption was just beginning. 30 years had passed since that unexpected marriage in the depths of space. Jae-hyun and Yuna's research center had transformed into a galactic beacon of hope, innovation, and collaborative potential. Their children, a remarkable blend of human and alien genetics, were now leading researchers in their own right. Each carried the unique perspective of their parents, human creativity mixed with alien scientific precision. They weren't just scientists, they were bridges between civilizations. The medical technologies they developed had fundamentally changed how species approached health, aging, and genetic challenges. Planets that once struggled with devastating genetic disorders now had hope. Entire populations experienced extended lifespans, improved quality of life, and new possibilities. But their legacy was more than scientific achievements. They had rewritten the rules of interspecies collaboration. Universities across multiple star systems now taught their approach. The Park Yuna method, as it was officially called, became a standard curriculum for collaborative research. Young scientists learned that true innovation comes from understanding, not just knowledge. Their original research center had grown from a small team on a converted cargo ship to a massive complex that spanned multiple planetary locations. Researchers from hundreds of different species worked together, united by a shared vision of discovery. We never wanted to be heroes, Jae-hyun would tell young researchers during guest lectures. We just wanted to solve problems. Their personal story became almost legendary. The human trader who married an alien scientist rejected by her own society. A partnership that began as a calculated risk had transformed entire civilizational approaches to research, collaboration, and potential. Economic systems changed. Societies that once valued strict hierarchical structures now created more fluid, merit-based platforms. The concept of potential was no longer limited by traditional boundaries. Their children represented the true manifestation of their legacy. Each had chosen different paths, some in medical research, some in diplomatic services, some in technological innovation. But they shared a common approach, seeing possibilities where others saw limitations. During their semi-retirement, Jae-hyun and Yoona continued mentoring. Their weekly strategy sessions became legendary among research circles. Young scientists would travel across star systems just to hear their perspectives. Innovation isn't about having the right answer, Yoona would explain. It's about asking the right questions. The medical technologies they developed had economic impacts beyond healthcare. Entire planetary economies transformed, creating new industries, new job categories, new possibilities for growth and understanding. Their approach challenged fundamental assumptions about intelligence, potential, and collaboration. They proved that the most significant breakthroughs happen when diverse perspectives come together. Governments that once maintained strict scientific controls now created open research platforms. Information flow became more democratic, more inclusive. The barriers between different species started dissolving. Their personal relationship remained their most powerful statement. A partnership that transcended physical appearance, cultural differences, and traditional expectations. They weren't just life partners, they were co-creators of a new vision of possibility. Younger generations across multiple species looked at their story as a blueprint for collaboration. Relationships were no longer about matching external criteria, but about shared vision, mutual respect, and the ability to grow together. The cargo ship where they first met was now preserved in a galactic museum, a symbol of unexpected potential, of how a single decision can transform entire civilizations. During their final joint research presentation, thousands of researchers from hundreds of species gathered. The auditorium was a testament to their journey, a living representation of the collaborative potential they had championed. "We're not finished," Jae-hyun would say, his eyes still bright with the excitement of discovery. "We're just getting started." And Yoona would smile, that remarkable smile that had become a beacon of hope for countless others. Their legacy wasn't just about scientific achievements. It was about showing the universe that potential has no boundaries, that collaboration can transform everything.